I told you that one of my students learned how to introduce himself, order coffee, ask for directions and talk about the days of the week, all from a single song he made in about 5 minutes. Today I'm going to teach you that exact song line by line with the pronunciation, the meaning and the cultural context. So by the end of this video, you will have your first real Portuguese conversation starters stuck in your head and ready to use. So before we get into the song, I just want to quickly explain why this works so well, because it's not just fun, there is real science behind it. So when information is set to a melody, your brain processes it differently. It tags it as something worth keeping. It's the same reason that you can still sing every word of a song from 1995, but you can't remember what you had for breakfast. For language learning specifically, songs do 3 things that vocabulary lists and pronunciation drills just can't do. First, it's repetition without the boredom. You will hear the same phrase in the chorus 15 times, but it feels like fun, not a drill. Second is the forced articulation. When you have to sing along, you physically have to shape your mouth around these sounds. So it's pronunciation practice in disguise. And the third is emotional memory. Music creates a feeling and feelings make memory stick. So if a phrase makes you smile or gives you that little earworm in your ear and you can't get it out of your head, you're not going to forget it. So let's get into the song. So this song was created by Zach, one of my students inside my Portuguese Pro program, which helps beginners go from saying their very first words up to having their first conversations. He took real phrases from the course, the kind of phrases that you're going to use when you're meeting someone for the first time in Portugal, and turned them into a song using a free AI tool called Suno. And the result is genuinely brilliant. It covers greetings, introductions, asking questions, basic courtesy phrases, days of the week, everything that a beginner needs to have for their first real conversation. So let's listen to it first and then we'll go through it together.
Bom dia, tudo bem? Eu sou a Ana e tu quem és? Eu moro em Lisboa e tu falas português um pouco ou muito. Vamos ao café, vamos conversar. Pastel de nata e chá para partilhar. Diz outra vez, eu quero praticar. Fala devagar, eu vou tentar. Por favor, obrigado. Desculpa. Até já. Quanto custa este livro? Eu quero comprar. Vamos ao café, vamos conversar. Pastel de nata e chá para partilhar. Diz outra vez, eu quero praticar. Fala devagar, eu vou tentar. Hoje é segunda, amanhã também. Brinco, eu sei que é terça, tudo bem. Hey! Ontem foi domingo, vou recordar. Passo a passo, vou aprender a falar. Vamos ao café, vamos conversar. Pastel de nata e chá para partilhar. Diz outra vez, eu quero praticar. Fala devagar, eu vou tentar.
So let's break down those lyrics then. The first one is nice and simple. It's bom dia. That is good morning in Portuguese and a very important greeting that you need to learn. Watch out for the pronunciation of bom. It's not a m sound at the end of that sound. It's an the nasal sound that Portuguese is so famous for. Bom dia. Good morning. Next up, the question. Tudo bem? Tudo bem. So we already have our second nasal sound, this time with the word well. So this phrase literally means all well, which is the Portuguese way of asking, how are you? The next phrase is the person introducing herself. Eu sou a Ana. Eu sou Ana. Now we have a couple of tricky things going on in this pronunciation, but let's look at the two sounds, eu and sou. So an EU, when it's together like this, it blends into one sound like this. Eu, eu. We're going from an e into an u. Eu. And the same happens with the sou. The O and the U are fusing together to make one sound. We go from O to U as a sliding sound. O, O, eu sou a Ana. Now, of course, you can use this and replace your own name here. The only thing you would need to do if you were a man would be to switch out that a for an U. So, for example, eu sou o Mike. So the next line, e tu quem és, literally means and who are you? That's not something we're likely to say in a conversation, but it rhymes and it goes with the song and it's grammatically correct. The next line, eu moro em Lisboa. Eu moro em Lisboa. So here we have two sounds again that we've been practicing, the vowel pair, eu, and the nice nasal e, because we're not going to say that M in ein. We're going to say ein, almost as if it was an ng, E-N-G, ein. And the next question, e tu. Now, this is nice and simple, and it just means and you. So that's a really useful phrase to have. If somebody has asked you a question, you can answer that question and say, e tu, and you. Now, the only thing we do need to be careful of here is that using the word tu is when you are being informal with somebody. It's something that you would do with somebody younger or somebody that you do know. So I do have a video on how to be polite in Portuguese, and this might be a really good one to check out next, so you'll know when to use tu and when not to. Next up, falas português pouco ou muito. So this is another really useful phrase. We're getting to know the verb to speak, which is falar. So you're probably going to use this a lot when you're asking if somebody speaks English or Portuguese. Falas inglês? Falas português? Again, if you check out my video on how to be polite, you'll know that we can also say fala português without that S, and that is what makes this sentence more polite. If you are using the informal version though, and we keep this S, just remember to pronounce it as a sh. All words that end in an S need to be a sh. Falas português. So on to the chorus. This is the bit that's gonna really stick in your head. Vamos ao café. Vamos conversar. So vamos is from the verb to go, but when we say it like this, vamos ao café, it means let's go. Okay, so this is a really useful one to have in your pocket. And vamos conversar, well, the verb conversar, you can probably guess, means chat. So this would be let's chat. Next line. Pastel de nata, you probably know what that is, the Portuguese custard tart, it's so Portuguese. E chá para partilhar. Now, a café would probably be more Portuguese, but hey, it's too many syllables for this line. So this means a cup of tea to share. That LH sound in the middle of partilhar is really difficult, but I did do a video breaking down this sound very recently, so I will link that in the description and you can check it out next. Or you could go one step further and download my free pronunciation guide where I go through 7 of the most difficult sounds to master in Portuguese. It is a great place to start if you want to make sure your Portuguese pronunciation is not going to give you away as a tourist. Next line we have diz outra vez, eu quero praticar. I love this. Say it again, I want to practice. So this is incredibly useful. Even if you forget everything else, by being able to say these things, you'll be able to keep up a conversation a little bit longer in Portuguese. Another very useful one, fala devagar. Eu vou tentar. This is so clever. It means speak slowly. I'm going to try. Because again, it's so common to get yourself into a situation where somebody is talking at you very fast and you can't follow it. But by knowing these 2 phrases, fala devagar, eu vou tentar, you'll be able to keep up a little bit longer by asking them to speak slowly. So next up in the song, we have several short phrases that are going to be really useful. I'm going to say them slowly so you can copy them, and this is what they mean. Por favor, please. Obrigado, thank you. Desculpa, sorry. And finally, até já. Até já. See you soon. That last one is extremely useful, and you'll hear people saying this all the time. As we know, the Portuguese like to shorten their words and drop off syllables left, right and centre. So when listening to this one, you might probably only hear teja, and think that it's all one word, but it's actually two. Next up, some useful phrases if you want to buy something. Quanto custa este livro? How much does this book cost? Now I want you to notice how both of those S's in that sentence were sh sounds. Custa, este. This is another really important part of Portuguese that people often forget. A lot of the time our S's can be a sh. Eu quero comprar. Eu quero comprar. I want to buy it. The verb comprar, to buy, is also going to be very useful. And of course, you can swap livro for anything that you would like to buy. Pastel, t-shirt. Now you've got a phrase that works everywhere. So now we're going to practice a little the days of the week. Hoje é segunda. Today is Monday. Notice that that H at the beginning of the word hoje is silent. And I also don't stress the final E too much. I don't say hoje, I say hoje. That gives me a closed E at the end. Very important thing for sounding Portuguese. The next E, however, has this accent on top, and that tells me that I should open the sound. I think of that accent like an open door, and it tells me to make an open E. So this one will sound like this. É. Hoje, closed. É, open. Segunda, that's the word for Monday. The next line is a little strange because it says amanhã também. Tomorrow also. So they're saying today is Monday and so is tomorrow. We know that's not true, but she's going to fix it in the next line. She says, brinco. I'm joking. Eu sei que é terça. I'm joking. I know it's Tuesday. Now the word for yesterday. Ontem. Ontem. Another one of those nasal sounds at the end there. We don't want to say ontem. We want to say ontem. Ontem foi domingo. Vou recordar. Yesterday was Sunday. I'm going to remember. Now I just want you to note there that when a word begins with an R, we need to give it a ch or a r. It doesn't matter which you choose, but just stay consistent. So make it easy on yourself and pick the one that is the easiest to do. Then finally, my favorite line, because it's such a great philosophy. Passo a passo, vou aprender a falar. Step by step, I'm going to learn to speak. So remember, nobody becomes fluent overnight, but step by step, with great tools like this song, you can absolutely get there. So how did Zach actually make this? Well, he used Gemini in conjunction with Suno and gave it the phrases from my beginner's course, told them that he wanted European Portuguese grammar throughout, and then he gave it some prompts in terms of the style of song that he would like. And 5 minutes later, he had this. So if you would like to try and do the same, then that would be so much fun. We have put an example prompt and a step-by-step guide down in the description, which you can check out so you can try making your own songs as well. Let me know in the comments if you do. I would absolutely love to hear what you come up with. So songs like this can be a really brilliant supplement to your learning. They're going to help you with pronunciation, vocabulary, and confidence. But they can't teach you grammar from scratch. They can't correct your mistakes or tell you if something sounds natural or not. For that, you need the proper foundations, and that is exactly what I have been building with my team over the last 5 years. So if you're a complete beginner or you've been trying to learn for a while and feel like you've been going in circles, I have a free 60-minute lesson that covers everything you need to start speaking European Portuguese properly: grammar, pronunciation, and even how to build your listening skills. That's the foundation, and the songs are just the fun bit that makes them stick. You do need both, so if you are ready to get started on your Portuguese journey today, go ahead and sign up for the free lesson. It is linked in the description. I would love to see you there. I'll be back next week with more tips and tutorials to improve your confidence and conversation skills in Portuguese, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing.